we got a doozy now for you as well. Adam Silver, right? The NBA All-Star game is kind of going the way of all the All-Star games. The Pro Bowl was the worst. NBA game used to be pretty good. Baseball used to be better. Baseball still probably – my problem with the baseball All-Star game, Rob, is they don't play long enough. You know what I mean? Like the stars play a couple innings. The pitchers generally pitch one inning. So I think that takes away from it. But
they still play the game. Like they're not tossing the ball underhanded or you know what I mean?
And I think just the nature of the sport, you can really only play baseball, one way.
Right. And you're not the injury factor, Chris, other than Pete Rose running into the catcher, Ray Fosse at the plate in an exhibition game.
That's how competitive it used to be. And that was Pete Rose.
That was Pete, and he ended Ray Fosse's career. He was never the same after that. He was a catcher for the A's, Chris.
Right.
And he was never the same after that. So that was over the top. You don't see that kind of action going on, but it's more like the regular game.
Yeah. So Adam Silver, this year's game, finally a team top 200.
And we've been talking about it for the last couple of years.
Yeah. And Rob, I remember, and I can't remember the year, but it was probably around David Stern was still the commissioner. And Rob G, let me know if you remember it too. And I don't remember where the All-Star game was at, but it was one of the first few years of the rookie-sophomore game. So he had the first year, second year players playing, their game on, I guess it was Friday night. And the game was a joke. The game was essentially what today's All-Star games are like. Guys were shooting a ton of threes. They were going to the basket, unencumbered, dunking. It was just ridiculous. And if I remember correctly, David Stern came out and said something about how embarrassing the game was and that's not what the NBA is about. And now, Rob, those players are older now. Some of them are out of the league. Some of them might still be in because I can't remember the year. But that was just a kind of a window into what was coming. And we all should have known it because it was the younger players, Rob, and they were growing up kind of shooting more threes and things like growing up as celebrities more than the older players were, right? Because of, just the changes in the culture. This was probably before even social media was huge. But I wish I could remember the year, but I can't. But anyway, Rob, Adam Silver addressed the All-Star game recently on Charles Barkley's show, the show he does with Gail.
Gail King.
Gail King, yes, Oprah Winfrey's good friend. I should say that. She's a legitimate journalist in her own right.
I used to watch her, Chris, in college. She worked for Channel 3. She was an anchor woman on Channel 3 in Hartford. So I watched Gail King, when I was
in the ranks, right?
Yeah, she was an anchor woman up there back then, and that was the CBS station in Connecticut.
Yeah. So she does the show on CNN with Charles Barkley, and here's what Adam Silver said on that.
I've talked to, and I'm sure you have too, I talked to a lot of players after the game, and I didn't get the sense that they went out there and said, well, we know what the league wants, and we know they want us to, TNT wants us to play hard, but we're just not going to do it. I think it's just sort of, once they got out there, I think particularly young players, they see it as, again, a mid-season break, an opportunity to have fun, an opportunity to take break from a very long season. When I saw the popularity of Steph versus Sabrina, see what's happening in the women's game, that we should just be looking to do different things and just make it a celebration of basketball. We're going to look at U.S. versus international. I just think maybe we're past that point where we're going to play a truly competitive game.
There's so much there, Rob, and I think he makes a decent point, but here's my pushback on one of the things he said. The players looking at it as a break. This is a problem because they're looking at much of the regular season as a break. This is the problem, or one of the problems that the NBA is having today with today's players. This, Rob, is kind of an extension, if you will,
right,
of load management. It is an outgrowth of players having an attitude of entitlement
and taking a
call
day
me when the
off, Chris,
playoffs
of
count.
like taking
Right.
a day off, like I don't have to play hard.
Right.
Like, that's
they
what
don't,
that
Rob,
is.
They don't even think about playing 82 games anymore.
No.
That's not even a consideration. And I get it that I know for a fact, I've said it on this show, sometimes it's the teams. But Adam Silver has let this kind of happen by not getting the load management under control. And he needs to talk to the teams about it. Because the teams are the ones like giving players days off and things like that. I'm not saying some players aren't, complicit as well. But a lot of it's the teams and the trainers and their quote unquote science. But Rob, the All-Star game is just an outgrowth of it. Oh, I mean, we don't even play every game in the regular season. Now you expect us to play an exhibition game that doesn't matter hard? You must be crazy.
You're 100%. 100% right. But this is where I think Adam Silver, Chris, is the worst commissioner. And I say this with all seriousness. Because he allowed this to get out of hand. And he as you could be a player's commissioner, Chris. But if they're not, what are they giving you? What are they doing for you if you're going to be soft and bend on some things for the players?
Right.
You're going to go and try to negotiate with TNT and ESPN to get the best television deal for the network and for the players, and they won't play for you?
Right.
Or we go out and we have Dr. J and Larry Bird go give the players a pep talk, and you give us the first 200-point game? What are we doing, Chris? You're the commissioner. And I have my issues with David Stern. You know I do, Chris.
I think he was a phenomenal commissioner.
But I know this wouldn't be going on. And I'm telling you, I know it wouldn't be going on. And you got to understand, this ain't about just you to here and now. This is about the history of the league and for players that haven't even played, haven't been born yet, who are going to be in this league one day. Like, that's what you have to understand. Chris, that's the message that they give the baseball players with the union. This ain't just about you.
Right.
It's about the future of this game and the future players who one day are going to be here, and they're going to be in a great spot. You know why? Because you sacrificed or you did what you had to do. And the same thing here. My God, to play a basketball game and put your hands up, Chris, and defend. If you were playing a pickup in the offseason, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that because that's a waste of time.
Yeah, we're not asking for playoff level intensity. Rob, I said it. How about how hard you play if you go to a run with NBA players in the offseason at UCLA? Heck, you play harder in the Drew League. I mean, seriously. That's all because you're right. No players, can you imagine players in the offseason looking for a good run and finding out and it's played the way the All-Star game is? Who would do that? Be a waste of time, as you said. Let's move on to the international idea. Rob, for years, I have thought, you know what? They might want to look at, I'd love to see the American stars play the international stars. Now the international players have become pretty good. And I used to think, the international players play a little more team ball, fundamentally sound. Our players are better. Could be an interesting game. Now, Rob, I've said it. I don't really want to see that because I just think the international players, we know they've got the best players in the world. The 5 best players, is it Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
Yes, and they're all from somewhere
who
else.
am I missing? I'm missing Luka. They're probably the 5 best players in the world right now. Or certainly in the discussion, top 5 of the top 7. And so I think they might blow us out of the water. But one of the things that does intrigue me about it, Rob, is because generally you see Giannis go out there for the All-Star game, and he's like wants to really play. Jokic doesn't even, I mean, it's like he's a fish out of water in the All-Star game because it's not a real game.
Right.
Luka does have some of that in him where he's loafing like the rest of them. Embiid, I think, got some of that in him. So it's some of the international players can be like that too. But I feel like, Rob, the international players will be more likely to take a game like this seriously. And my hope would be that it would unlock the competitive nature of the American players. That they would be like, all right, we going to get run off the floor if we don't play hard against these dudes. And that would make for a really good game. But I don't know. Maybe, Rob, the American players would be like, man, y'all can come out here and play hard all y'all want. You don't care if you win. We it don't matter. This don't count.
See, I'm with
They
Chris.
they might let them just run them off the floor.
I think that's where we would be headed. That they wouldn't.
You think the American players wouldn't play hard?
Nope. I think that they would throw up some shots, whatever, but they wouldn't be like, oh, we lost to them. How embarrassing. Nope. I don't think that they will look at it as this is an exhibition. I'm not breaking my back out here for this. Nobody cares. I just
right.
for it to have gotten to the place that it is shocking. Like no one wants a postseason game.
Nah.
We want a nice pickup game that's fun, Chris.
Right.
That's all. That's
and
fun.
it doesn't have to be this way in basketball. Football, we get it. I mean, you get really injured out there.
Right.
All right, we understand that.
Your whole career, you're going to tear up your
doesn't
knee
have
in
to be
an
that way.
exhibition game. I get that.
Right. Basketball, but you're right. I don't know, Rob. The cat's out of the bag. Once you allow something that's, for lack of a better word, negative to kind of infiltrate something, and then you let it go and go and go, Rob, it's hard to get it back in the bag. I'll use like hip hop music, right? Once gangster rap came out and you started, the cursing was, all over the place and they talking about this and that, it made it hard for those dudes that, I remember Kid and Play was talking about, they went on tour and they were getting stuff thrown at them. Yeah. I mean, they were hot when they first started.
How about Will Smith? Will Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith he actually is a good rapper, but he can't.
He can't do that. He can't do that bubblegum rap, Chris.
No.
That's what it is.
Parents just don't understand. No. I mean, because it's like, oh, now the cat's out of the bag.
I'll give you a
all
better
this
one.
other stuff going on.
How about MC Hammer, who was the biggest star in this country for about a few years? All I'm saying is he even tried to get like a little more.
He tried to go gangster, right?
Right.
That album, what was it, Thug? It was something like that. You're right. He tried to be gangster, and it was just like, come on, dude.
Dude, with those
That ain't
balloon
you.
pants, Chris, you had a pair of those. Those parachute pants, I think they called them.
Oh,
did you have a pair? Be honest.
My brother had a pair of parachute pants. I never had them. The ones you talking about are like the Houdini. I don't know what those.
Right.
Aladdin or something like that. Those big wide ones. But yeah, I mean, but Rob, that's the thing. Like, they have to, this off season, Rob, I think it has to start with load management in the regular season. You just got to, I know they went to the 65 games, which I think has been good, but you got to like buckle down, come down hard on these teams with the load management. Because now you get that spirit of, entitlement and lollygagging out of there. This is a professional sports league. This is work. This is your job. Rob, you and I, we work holidays. We don't mail it in. We don't say, oh, it's a holiday, man.
We'll just come in, Chris, and we'll just yuck it up. No show prep, no show. We'll just come on and talk for 3 hours because we decide we're coming. No, we don't do that.